with me, Matt Perkins, from the Salvation Army's Youth and Children's Ministry Unit. In each episode, we welcome a youth leader from a local corps and find out a bit about them and their ministry with young people. Today's guest is Nathan Loxley, a corps leader from St Ives Corps, along with his wife, Helen. And here he is. Nice to see you, Nathan.
Hello. Nice to meet you.
Thank you for joining us. Now, Nathan, am I right in thinking that St Ives is your first posting as a Salvation Army Corps officer?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we came out of William Booth College and got sent here nearly 4 years ago now.
So Nathan, in my mind, when appointments come out and the cadets listen, there's almost like a leaderboard in terms of geographically where is the best posting, and St Ives has got to be up there, right?
Yes, if there was a leaderboard like that, I think it's pretty good. But you don't want to make too much noise about it either.
So you mean there is no leaderboard?
There's no leaderboard.
That disappoints me slightly, but St Ives, as we all know, is a beautiful area of the country and a beautiful place to be doing ministry. We're going to find out about your ministry with young people as a corps leader in that area. But first, we want to get to know you a bit more, and we're going to do that through My Life in Pictures. So the first picture that we can see on the screen, yeah, it looks to be your beautiful family. Tell us a bit about them and you.
So you got me and Helen, and then Eden, who's our daughter. She's 6 and goes to school here in St Ives, and then Oscar and Jago, who's just turned 1.
Wow,
that's the gang. They're good. They're lively and lovely.
Love that, Nathan. And the second photo that we can see on the screen is to describe something of your job. Now, we know you're a corps leader, but tell us about this stunning image.
Yeah, it's gorgeous, isn't it? So it was really hard to find a picture because our job is really about people. And obviously there's no people in that photo, but it was hard to find the right one. So I was looking at that and I thought it gives a little bit of context. You can see the Salvation Army Corps building there at the front.
Wow.
And that's where we are on the harbour, and that shapes a lot of our ministry, the building and the journey we've had with the building, which we'll talk about more in a bit, I'm sure. But yeah, behind that is the town, the people that we work with as well.
Great. Nathan, I did wonder how you got that shot, whether you're out scuba diving one day, took your phone with you.
I wish I could claim it as my own, but sadly, maybe one day.
And the third photo is another great image of you with a very large surfboard. Talk to us about your hobbies.
So I'd like to say that surfing is one of my hobbies. I think having young kids is pretty much your hobby, isn't it? At some stage in life, that takes up much more time. So the beach is our hobby. We're at the beach all the time, exploring new beaches. I think we've got a list. Cornwall's got over 300 beaches. And we've managed to tick off quite a lot. We're not quite halfway yet, but we've ticked off a lot. So going to beaches, exploring, but yeah, also surfing. And so that's me with Steve, who's one of the dads from the school run that we've become friends with, and he's been teaching me how to surf a little bit.
Great, love it, Nathan. The candidates unit need these photos because, sign me up. Seriously.
Well, and it's funny because it is a hobby and it's been an amazing. I'm useless at it. I'm absolutely useless, but it's the relationships you build around it as well that are just amazing.
So Nathan, you've joined us on the call because we want to hear more about your ministry with people, with young people. But first of all, tell us a bit about the town of St Ives and the Corps.
Well, so like you say, St Ives is beautiful. It's a very popular holiday destination. And so the town naturally has these seasons of the summer where it's absolutely packed and the winter where it's very quiet. And that is all reflected in the ministry. That's all reflected in the relationships and the work that we can and can't do with the local community. But also any town that relies heavily on one industry, so for us tourism, that comes with great opportunities, but also it brings problems with it as well. And so in the town we've got a perceived housing crisis where second homes can go for millions of pounds and sat there empty, where the prices then go up. Local people can't find places to live easily. And so where you've got these million pound houses, and then on the next row, we've got 35% of children who are currently living below the poverty line. And you just wouldn't, you wouldn't get that from the postcards. Obviously, it wouldn't make a very good postcard. But the real town and the real struggles that are here.
Yeah.
And they're not obvious to a point. But when you see them, you really see them.
Yeah. The perception of St Ives is what I've probably come across as in the photos you show, which is, wow, St Ives, what an incredible posting, it's stunning, the beaches. But as you just said, there's 35% of children in that area are under the poverty line. The reality is that people really struggle in that town, and you're there as the Salvation Army to serve them. And I just want to start with, how do you serve those young people?
It's a real privilege that we get to serve those young people, I'd say. And quite simply, we were doing that just with a youth club. That was one of the main ways, like a really standard classic, like pool table tennis, Xbox in the corner. And what we were finding was that people were connecting to it. I think because we were creating a space where people felt valued and listened and heard, where in the rest of their life they're not always getting that, So we were doing that. We were doing that in the building pre-pandemic. We're getting anywhere 60 to 80 young people some nights, like real wild stuff and great stuff. And even through that, we were starting to see, we're not shoving Jesus down people's throats whilst we're doing that or anything. But even through the relationships and the conversations, we were starting to see young people coming to faith as well, which is a big part of what we do, and that's really exciting. And then the pandemic came, and it just kind of just derailed the whole thing. And that was hard. It felt like we had a lot of momentum. I remember thinking, like, God, why are you doing this? And realizing that actually probably the pandemic's a bit bigger than me and my needs, So through that, we had to adapt the way that we serve the community, for sure. We tried all the stuff online. We tried to create different ways of engaging with young people. Literally nothing we tried worked. It was a disaster, everything. And that was hard. And it was only when I started networking with other youth workers that I realized actually a lot of us are in the same boat. And that was really reassuring. And then in that, even those little bits in between lockdowns when you could start doing stuff, we're putting on your FIFA nights and stuff like that. And then our building burnt down, which really changed the whole direction yet again.
So restrictions have been lifted slightly. You're allowing a few people, COVID measures, to come into the building to do bits of engagement, and then suddenly a fire. So
Christmas 2020, it was meant to be our second youth club since we'd reopened. I'm on my way down, get the phone call saying, Nathan, we need you down at the wharf straight away because next door is on fire. And so the chip shop had a fire, we think to do with their electrics. Couldn't control it, and it spread onto our building. It was devastating, really.
Wow. So obviously extremely hard to process.
Yeah.
But how in those early days, the next weeks and months, did your ministry change because you'd lost that building?
We were so wrapped around with prayer and with love, and actually from the local community as well. Straight away, everyone was for us. Everyone was cheering us on. We had a huge amount of donations coming in financially, and on our Just Giving page, it was amazing because you could see all this money coming in. But with every £5 here, £5 there, it was the messages that were coming alongside it. Thank you so much for what you're doing with our young people. Thank you for what you do in this community. And I've spent more time than I should scrolling through those messages, and just really feeling the support, really feeling the love from the local community. So that's the early days. And then the reality hits you of, oh my gosh, like this is going to be big work. This is hard. And so that's when we tried a few different things. And it coincided nicely with the town opening a brand new skate park.
Right.
Lush, really great skate park. And so, we're having these conversations with the team who, the group of volunteers, a lovely bunch of older ladies really at the time, primarily. And kind of transitioning from a youth club team into a detached team, and just going out there, going on the streets, starting in the skate park and then going around town, just trying to get some engagement with the young people. which was an amazing journey. It was great stuff.
Yeah. That's brilliant. So you've gone from really feeling affirmed in the ministry you're doing from the local public through all these comments, and then realizing actually, well, the way we were engaging with young people before was with this building, but now we haven't got it, we're forced to go to them.
Yeah.
And actually in going to them, there's been some real learning. And I guess the ministry with those young people, the relationships have grown and grown.
Seeing these people in a different context, actually turning up, there's nights, all the youth workers watching this who do detach will know those nights where it's raining, and you don't want to, but you do turn up. And all those things, I think they make a huge difference. And so, yeah, we've had teenagers teaching me how to skateboard, and how to skate, and just how even things like that, coming humbly and saying, I have no idea what I'm doing. Has really helped improve relationships. Our youth club was great at picking up what you might consider, I guess, young people on the fringe. But there are others who we've engaged with as a result of that, who we now see regularly as well.
That's brilliant, Nathan. Talk to us about where you are now. You are back in the building. You're in a building.
I'm in a building right now, yeah.
I assume it's your core building. Tell us a bit about that building, and does youth work now exist within that building again?
This is where we are. It's basically one room. We've got some sofas over there and a pool table over there. And this is where we've tried to run everything from. So it's been tricky, but it's been great. It's so welcomed. And that journey, I know that the first time we opened the door, we had a bunch of teenagers in here doing whatever, playing the games and stuff. And two teenage girls were walking down the high street, and they saw us. I'm waving. All right. They come in, and one of them just floods of tears straight away, and just saying, "I've really missed this. I can't believe that.
Wow.
That we're back. And that that again, that's one of those moments that
Wow.
Really, really encouraging. Really, like to feel like you're on the right track. Like youth work is the long game, isn't it? Like it's turning up every week and being constant, being consistent, and not every week is special. These moments where you get that reassurance that actually what you're doing is making a difference. I think you have to make a note of them. You have to remember them. Yeah.
What drives your passion for young people? And how does that live out as a core leader who's obviously got responsibility for the whole church, not just the young people?
I think there's something about how teenagers are made, what they're like. They're open, they're exploring, they're growing, which means working with them, especially as a Salvation Army officer, makes sense. Part of the covenant, part of the thing that we say, this is how we're going to live our lives, is that the salvation of souls is the number one priority. So putting that in the context of teenagers, for me, that just makes sense because these people are actually interested. And working with people who are interested is a lot more rewarding than working with people who aren't,
Sure.
And then I think what's evident is good youth work is based in a family setting. If you're able to offer somewhere where they can find intergenerational relationships, if you're able to offer somewhere where actually you can come and sit at the table and have dinner with us, with a family, it makes sense. This is the stuff that these young people in St Ives are missing out on, and it's kingdom and it's church, and we get to do it together. So it just makes so much sense for us to be investing in this.
Wow, that's so profound, Nathan. So what you're saying is the young people in that area are almost yearning for connection with people they trust, but people of all generations. And actually, the church is one of the only places that can offer that. And what you're saying is that young people are coming to you for that.
Yeah,
and the whole core is involved. It's not just the people like yourself who are passionate about young people. It's the whole core.
Yeah, definitely. And that's been a journey. Family, as we all know, is great, but it's also messy. It has ups and downs. And it requires that. It requires a team of, I was going to say volunteers, but I think family is probably the better word, doesn't it? It requires people who are going to step up and say, I'm here to be with you, which is just amazing.
So Nathan, you're involved in the lives of young people weekly, and you're a youth worker, you'll be reflecting on your practice and your ministry. Can you share with us something of what you are learning?
We had a youth workers meeting across the town, all the youth workers together, all the Christian youth workers. We're praying, we're buzzing, and it's a Thursday, and I know we're going into Bible study that night, and the youth Bible study we're doing, getting about 30 kids come along to. Almost none of them have got, like, they're not from church families, and so it's pretty hectic. But I think this is the night, with the Bible passages lined up, I think like we're going to get some faith decisions like this. We're like so ready. It was a Dominoes night as well.
Nice.
And Dominoes is like the best thing you can do as a youth worker, isn't it? Dominoes, you know, get the pizza out. So it's going really well. And then as the night's progressing, like the door is open, and a few people come and go, and it's become apparent that out of the, say, 30 people we had, quite a large percentage of them ended up being very, very high on marijuana in a really unpleasant way. I wouldn't necessarily say that there's a pleasant way, but it was really unpleasant atmosphere that it started creating. And you're going, and I'm like, I've got these high hopes for the night, but by the time we get the Bibles out, every single person left the room. And I was like, oh, you feel that's like a sucker punch, and not knowing what's going on. And then the day after, I'm setting up for youth club, which is just, you know, youth club, open the doors, no agenda stuff. And as the night's going on, one person comes up to me as I'm stood at the door, and he says, I've just been wondering, like, how would I become a Christian if I want to? And we were there chatting for about 40 minutes, and eventually he decides he's going to pray and he wants to accept Jesus into his life. And we're like, wow. And he's running up and down the high street, I'm a Christian, like this. But because he's doing that, a second person comes over, well, I want to be a Christian as well. Will you pray with me? So we have a little chat, have a pray. And then because he's then running up on the street saying, I'm a Christian, a third person comes and says, well, this is what I want to. And it's just amazing, an amazing night, a wild night of all sorts going on. And I think in all of that, it's like sometimes I let the disappointments take the wind out of my sails. I forget the promises that God has made, that actually he is moving to this town. Actually, he is saving. He saves people today. Like he is doing it, and to have hope. And so in all of that, I think the main thing I'm probably learning is that prayer is the best way that I can spend my time. Like I can put on all the best events, I can do all the best things, but actually just interceding, just praying for these young people is when it all happens. And holding on to that, even when things are going wrong, knowing that actually it's the prayer that makes the difference. And that just relieves so much stress as well, to know that it's not about me, that God's got it, it's okay.
Yeah. Wow. Nathan, thank you so much for sharing that. I mean, I think we can all feel that deep joy of that picture of the young person running down the high street shouting, yes, I'm a Christian. And all off the back of what was the night before probably the biggest disappointment. Thank you for your encouragement and for the inspiring words you shared with us today, Nathan. And we'll be praying for you in your ministry in the coming weeks and months. And as you approach going back into the building that was, but yeah, we celebrate you today, Nathan and Helen and your youth team for the work you do with young people. Thank you.
Thank you.
Please join us next time on Spotlight, where we'll be shining a light on another youth leader and their ministry with young people.